LSU lands a big tight end commit for the class of 2025. We're talking about him next. It's Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Glad to have you aboard with us here. We are free, available wherever you get great podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe, smash the like button, share the pod, and let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single weekday and every single day, on Locked on LSU. So Saturday proved fruitful for LSU as Mike Tyler, a tight end for the class of 2025, committed to the Tigers. It was his birthday, and he had a party. He's from, oddly, Columbia, South Carolina, Hammond High School in Columbia, South Carolina, home of the Gamecocks. Of course, LSU will play in Columbia this year, but Mike Tyler didn't have a ton of interest in the Gamecocks. As a matter of fact, LSU pretty heavily led this way. And when you look at the on-3 RPM, the recruiting prediction machine, LSU had a 95.8% chance of landing Mike Tyler. No other school, NC State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, had more than 1.5%, according to the RPM. Let's talk a little bit about Mike Tyler. Talk about the tight end room at LSU and who could be next to commit for this class of 2025. So we'll set the table for all of that. So Tyler is 6'3", 230. He is a three-star. He's the 38th best tight end in the country, the 14th best player in South Carolina. That's in the composite. And nationally, he's ranked 714 overall. So I want to be clear because I know we've talked about this a good bit, but I feel like it's worth reiterating because I know every time we talk about something like this, people are going to find the podcast for the first time. Remember, next year, roster limits go to 105. Scholarship limits go to 105. So with no hard cap on the signing class and 20 more scholarships to award, you are going to look at prospects that you really like, that in an 85-man scholarship roster and a 25 hard cap, which of course hasn't existed for a few years, it's hard to justify taking that player because you're limited on the numbers. Well, now that you have to add 20 more scholarship players, there's guys who in the past might have been tweeners that are now full-on takes, and Mike Tyler might be one of those. But then again, if Brian Kelly likes a tight end, I'm good with it. When I look at Mike Tyler, the first thing that came into my mind was another MT, Mason Taylor, another tight end at LSU. Remember I told you Mike Tyler was 6'3", 230. I went and looked up Mason Taylor's recruiting profile when he signed with LSU back in the class of 2022. Coming out of high school, he was 6'4", 230. Same weight, Mason Taylor, an inch taller. Mason Taylor was also a three-star. And he was rated as the number 51 tight end in the country, according to 24/7. On-3 didn't exist at that point. Remember, Mike Tyler in the composite is number 38. He's Rivals has him as 33, the 33rd best tight end. So Mason Taylor in the composite that year was 24, the 24th best tight end. So you're talking about very comparable high school prospects. Guys with good frames, good athleticism, room to grow and build and develop, athletic pass-catching tight ends who can block as well, comparably rated in the composite. It's very similar. And Mason Taylor, of course, started as a freshman, has been a 3-year starter, and might very well be the best tight end in the country this year. Might. There's a guy in Michigan who may have something to say about that. My point is, Brian Kelly, throughout his time, not only at LSU, but as a college football coach, has featured the tight end. And I've said this a million times now over the last 3 years. There are two positions more than any other that Brian Kelly has pumped into the NFL: tight end, offensive line. So if Brian Kelly and his staff like a tight end or they like an offensive lineman, chances are I'm going to be good with taking that player. And that's the case here with Mike Tyler. If you want a little more color and description to that statement about Brian Kelly, how about this? In his decade at Notre Dame, Brian Kelly had 8 tight ends drafted. 8. You know how long it took LSU to have 8 tight ends drafted? If you go back to 1988, the 1988 draft, Brian Kinchin was taken. Excuse me. Yeah, in 1988. From 1989 to present day, LSU has had 8 tight ends drafted. In 35 years, LSU had as many tight ends drafted as Brian Kelly had drafted in 1 decade at Notre Dame. The point is, that guy knows how to recruit and develop that position. So when he came here and wanted Mason Taylor, I was good with it. A year ago, whenever in the 2023 class, they signed 3 tight ends. You had Mac Markway, Comporian Pimpton, Jackson McGowan. Well, McGowan transferred to Wisconsin. Mac Markway, unfortunately, left during fall camp. And Comporian Pimpton looks like he's ready to be a superstar. Both as a pass catcher, he's added bulk as well, and is willing to do some of the dirty work, as Brian Kelly said. And when you look ahead to the 2025 class for LSU, remember, J.D. LaFleur is already committed. J.D. LaFleur, son of former LSU tight end David LaFleur, who's the first rounder of the Dallas Cowboys. And J.D. LaFleur is a 4-star and a top 10 player in Louisiana for the class of 2025. So here you have a guy that already at 6'6.5", 235 is a big physical-looking tight end already. And now you've got the guy in Mike Tyler who's a little more athletic with the frame to build and grow, however. So I love what they're doing here, and you have to replenish that position. Remember, you've got Comporian Pimpton, you've got Trey'Dez Green, and, of course, Mason Taylor. There's a really good chance Mason Taylor could go pro after this season. If he does, then you're left next year with just 2 tight ends. So, yes, you need to fortify that position. Brian Kelly was adamant they were going to add 2 tight ends in this class. So he's got J.D. LaFleur, and now he's got Mike Tyler as well. So big-time get for LSU here in the class of 2025. As LSU is now up to 23 commits for the class of 2025 as they've added Mike Tyler into the class. So, it's a class that continues to grow, continues to be impressive. They are 3rd in the country behind only Ohio State and Alabama, and they continue to grow this class into one that's mighty impressive. So with Mike Tyler now in tow, the question becomes, who could be next for LSU in the class of 2025? Got some thoughts and some names. We'll share them with you next. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Of course, you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, got something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, so a little more than a month, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Did you hear what I just said? Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account, current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Also today, brought to you by our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. Of course, the formula for winning championships. That's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your #1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So with Mike Tyler now in tow and LSU up to 23 commits for the class of 2025, it's fair to look at who could be next. Well, the most obvious name, of course, is Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams is a 5-star. He's the number 1 safety in the country. He's out of Ball High School in Galveston, Texas. He is a 2-sport athlete. We've talked about him plenty if you've been along with the show. Not only is he a Jamal Adams type safety prospect, but on the baseball diamond, he is a center field, power hitting center fielder. He is skill set like Connor Griffin, who, of course, out of Mississippi, the LSU signee who went 9th overall in the draft. I mean, that is the type of prospect you're talking about in both sports. So there's a giant question of whether or not Jonah Williams will ever show up on campus, because he could go get paid a lot of money next summer to go play baseball. But we'll see. All the indications are he's adamant that he wants to play both sports. Oregon got in the mix. Texas has gotten in the mix since Jim Schlossnagle showed up there. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and, of course, LSU all in the mix. And Jay Johnson was one of the first to start recruiting Jonah Williams for baseball. And, of course, everybody wants him in football. So you're talking about a guy at 6'3.5", 206. His brother was a Major League Baseball player. He's got the pedigree. He's got every single thing that you want. There's a general belief that it's going to come down to LSU and Texas A&M, although Texas could work their way in. And he'll make his decision on Saturday. So we're less than a week away from knowing what Jonah Williams is going to decide. It's a long way from signing day and even longer till the MLB draft. But Jonah Williams will make his announcement coming up on Saturday. So we'll know where he, at least initially, commits, and LSU very much in the mix. There's 3 other prospects that I'd like to mention. And, just under half of LSU's signing class from a year ago were flips. Guys that flipped from another school or had been committed, decommitted with the intention of signing with LSU. And LSU's already flipped a couple of prospects here in this class. Phillip Wright, most recently, the wide receiver out of Destrehan, who had been committed to Michigan and ultimately flipped to LSU. But there's 3 other prospects, and I'll hat tip my friend Shay Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger, who planted these 3 seeds in my ear. One is Jordan Crawford. Jordan Crawford is a defensive lineman out of Birmingham, Alabama. 6'1", 330. He's currently committed to Auburn. But Bama, Georgia, Clemson are all in the mix. He's a 4-star. He's number 210 nationally, the 18th best defensive lineman in the country. Bo Davis and Blake Baker are doing work here, and they're trying to get back in the mix. And that's someone who they feel like they could potentially flip. So with a pretty heavy defensive line class already in tow for LSU, keep an eye on Jordan Crawford out of Birmingham as one that might be able to jump in LSU's class. Another current SEC commit is Cade Phillips, Cade with a K. He's a cornerback out of Missouri City, Texas. That's the Houston area. And he's currently committed to the Longhorns. And it's LSU, Texas A&M, Baylor, all chasing that commitment currently from Cade Phillips with the Longhorns. So he's a guy at Hightower High, 4-star, number 164 nationally, the 18th best corner in the country. Again, currently committed to Texas. He's out of the state of Texas, but that's another one that LSU has made some hay on. And when you look at LSU, that's Corey Raymond with the lead, Blake Baker as the secondary recruiter. And Corey Raymond, I wouldn't put anything out of the realm of possibility with Corey Raymond. As elite of a recruiter as he is and has been throughout his career, you never say never in that mix. And LSU certainly looking potentially to add more defensive backs in this class. Jonah Williams, then at the cornerback spot, you could see maybe a jump there with Cade Phillips. And then the last one that Shay mentioned to me was C.J. Wiley. And C.J. Wiley, you might remember this. He's a legacy. So Chuck Wiley, who played defensive line for LSU in the late 90s under Jerry DiNardo. Chuck Wiley, this is his son. He's out of Georgia, Milton, Georgia. 6'3 3/4, 210 pounds. He is a high 4-star receiver. He is number 100 nationally, the 13th best receiver in the country. That's in the composite. On 3 actually rates him as the 76th best player in the country. So you have a very elite level receiving prospect here who shocked everybody. When many thought it would be Georgia or LSU, Auburn was in the mix as well. He committed to Florida State. And LSU has not stopped recruiting C.J. Wiley, and this could be one that maybe could go down to signing day, so we'll keep an eye on it. But there's 3 names right there worth keeping an eye on for LSU if you're looking at who are potential flip candidates. Jordan Crawford, Cade Phillips, CJ Wiley, and of course, Jonah Williams set to make his college announcement coming up on Saturday. And you better believe we'll be talking about it right here. Hey, looking forward to a really exciting week. LSU's back on the practice field Monday after a day off Sunday. Media availability not again until Wednesday. And then coming up Saturday, it'll be a full Tiger scrimmage in Tiger Stadium with full media availability. So really looking forward to this busy week as we creep closer here to the start of the college football season. And man, we'll be here every single day, every step of the way. So if you're new, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And remember to tell a friend that if they love the Tigers, we got you here every single day for Locked on LSU, your team every day.